The issue of sexual harassment against women has once again shot to prominence in Mexico after the country's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, was kissed and groped by a man. She was greeting members of the public on the street in Mexico City while walking to an event. Police arrested the man, and Sheinbaum has filed a legal complaint against him.
I decided to press charges because this is something I experienced as a woman. Something all women in our country experience. My thinking is, if I don't file a complaint, what happens to other Mexican women? If this happens to the president, what will happen to all the women in our country?
Let's take a closer look at this incident and its implications and bring in Fernanda Bozmoski from the Atlantic Council's Latin America Center. Welcome to DW. Now, the Mexican president is groped in broad daylight in the middle of the street, and this has really resonated with a lot of women, hasn't it?
Certainly, and unfortunately, I would say, in Mexico, but also across Latin America and the Caribbean, to be honest.
And how important a signal was it for her to address the issue publicly and press charges against the man?
Well, I think that we've heard in her remarks that, if she didn't try to create some sense of accountability, if she didn't fight back against the impunity that in many cases exists in Mexico, she would be sending the wrong message to all the women in Mexico. In her inaugural address, she said, it's the time for transformation. It's the time for women. So it's a big signal to all the women in Mexico and across the region and the world. But it's also, importantly, a message to prosecutors, to institutions that, a case of violence or assault against women should be taken as seriously as maybe a more violent or organized crime case.
Just to give our viewers a sense, because we talked earlier about how this has resonated, beyond even the borders of Mexico. How widespread is violence against women in Mexico and in the entire region?
I think that unfortunately there's a lot of work to be done in that area, and Mexico has been notorious for violence against women and femicides. When you look at Mexico and also the Northern Triangle in Central America, you see that there's impunity. There's widespread impunity. You can literally get away with murder. And while we have seen a drop in the number of femicides in Mexico, the numbers are still staggeringly high and worrisome. You look at some recent polls where 68% of women will say that they do not feel safe in the streets versus 56% more or less of men.
Mm-hmm. And what's being done to tackle this problem, both in giving women more legal options, but also in tackling the root causes and making sure this doesn't even happen?
So the security plan that we've been seeing under President Sheinbaum has a number of pillars. One of them has a community-based programs, which are trying to address some of this, let's say, less violent, less high-profile crime. Again, there is still a lot of work to be done. We see it in the numbers that were sent to the Congress for the 2026 packet, and if you look at that, you will see that there has been a further reduction, spending cuts to the security budget for next year. While there has been a modest increase in the defense spending, there are further cuts to the citizen security budget line items. So while the government and I would say specifically also the Mexico City government has started to tackle more of this crime and these cases, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and the president has vowed to review the legal conditions surrounding sexual abuse That was Maria Fernanda Bozmoski from the Atlantic Council in Latin America. Thank you so much.
Thank you.